Hello everyone, my name is Richa Gupta. I am Assistant Professor, Department of Psychology, BSSS, Bhopal. Today in Youth, Gender and Equality, we are going to talk about parent and youth conflict, which is a very important topic, and especially given the today's scenario. So, what is parent-youth conflict? We all have gone through this in our life, and some of you are going through this at this very moment. Sometimes there are times when we feel that our own parents who has given us birth, they do not understand what we want or what we are trying to say. Even though we are talking in plain English or Hindi or whatever our mother tongue is, they just don't understand. So these kind of misunderstanding creates these conflicts. So let's see. So the transition from dependence to autonomy is not easy for both the parent and the child. Why do we need autonomy? See, till the time we are 13 to 14 years of age, we are almost doing whatever our parents are asking us to do or whatever our parents think is right for us. But once we achieve this age of 14 and 15 years, which is age of teenage, that time we start having our that is a time of puberty. There are a lot of hormones which are going up and down, and during that time we also have this feel of getting some autonomy in our life. And in that phase, our parents also, they are also going through a phase in which their child who was always dependent on them, the child whose center of universe was their parent, are now they are transiting from that stage and going towards the independent stage. So it is very hard for even parents to understand this, and that is what which creates the conflict. So when the children reaches early adulthood, they yearn for their individuality, which is very important from what their parents expects of them. Parents are also unable to understand the changes, and they are also anxious that their importance and dependence will decrease and their children are on a new path to embark in which they are on their own. Now parents start realizing that their children are growing up, and now in few years and in a matter of time they will be on their own. So this creates inhibitions in the parent, and they also start feeling that what if my child fails, or what if my child will not be able to cope up with the pressure, unknowing that their child wants to face the failures and wants to know how it is to take things in their own hands. So this dissonance creates the conflicts. Now, the most important part of the parent life, that is child rearing, is on end, and the understanding of this phase takes time for the parents to realize. When a person or when couple becomes parent, their life changes. Their life takes a 360-degree turn. So they are like what is happening. Everything is related to their children. Their schedule is as per their children. They are always worried about their children, whether they are doing good or bad, and whatever is happening, whatever moments they are spending with their children, that is the most precious moments for any individual. So when this change of shift from parents to friends occurs, the parents are unable to cope with this shift, and not unable, but they are not very readily acceptable of this shift, and that is why there are a lot of stress which occurs in the relationship. So the changes in lifestyle and socializing, more with peers and less among family circles, being more sexually active, is something different for the parents to comprehend. As for them, their child is always very small, and they are worried that he or she might take a step which will not be very healthy. So this change, the children are socializing, but they want to socialize with their friends. They are getting sexually active, they are getting attracted towards other opposite sex, and these changes, parents feel that they are scared that their child should not get into some trouble or get into something which can disturb their life, their child's life. So those concerns are very strong during the teen years of the children. So there are some factors which increase this conflict to a more higher extent, and these factors are like socioeconomic and ethnic variation. So what are these? We'll see. So socioeconomic status, what it is? Socioeconomic status is linked to timing of parenthood and to family size. Like socioeconomic status is the financial standing a person have in the society. Okay, so it is linked to what? It is linked to the timing of parenthood and to family size. So how it is impacting the SES? So it is impacting like if a person who is in his teens or just have entered the adulthood, they become a parent, and especially when they are not having a financial stability, they are dependent either on their parents or some other resources, and they are not able to take care of themselves, and at that time if they become parent, they are not able to provide good to their offsprings. In those times, the children, they suffer a lot of they suffer a lot of stress and a lot of what you can say is they experience a lot of depravity in their childhood, like if a person who cannot afford good schooling, or if a person who cannot afford good nutrition, cannot give good food to their child because of the financial constraints. So at that time it is very difficult for the child to have a normal upbringing in which he should have a good food, good schooling and good place to live. Such kind of issues if they are there, then it creates a lot of hassles in a child's life. And family size, we also talked about family size. Sometimes parents, they have a lot of children. It's not that it's always wrong, but because if the family size is more, the resources are limited, and they have to be shared among all the members of the family. So this also creates conflict, this also creates a lot of trouble in the family. People who work hard in skilled and semi-skilled manual occupation tend to marry and have children earlier, as well as give birth to more children than people in professional and technical occupations. So there is this observation that people who belong to semi-skilled occupations, which are more laborious occupation, they tend to get married early because of they get job whatever of their liking pretty early, and they start off with their life early. So they tend to have more children than the people who are into professional and technical occupations, because for professional and technical occupations they need more studies and more time they need to give to themselves so that they have a better job opportunities. The two groups also differ in child rearing values and expectation. Like the manual, the semi-skilled occupation, people will like to have, will focus on external characteristics such as obedience, politeness and neatness in their child, because this is the thing which is making them earn their livelihood. When they are obedient towards their boss, when they are obedient, when they are polite towards other people, so they get to have a good source of income. As far as, in contrast, the higher SES parents emphasize psychological traits such as curiosity, happiness, self-direction, and cognitive and social maturity, because these are those traits which are helping the high SES people to have growth in their life and to have good stability. Because of limited education and low social status, many low SES parents feel powerless in their relationship beyond the home. So this is the thing that the people who belong to the semi-skilled and unskilled labor, they have to take orders a lot of time, and they feel that they are powerless in their situation, which makes them behave the same way when they come home, and they think that their child are also powerless and they have to obey whatever their parents are asking them to do, as they are doing it in their workplace. In contrast, the higher SES parents, they typically have more control over their own lives. At work, they are used to making independent decisions and convincing others of their point of view. At home, they are more likely to teach their skills to their children. So these people who have more autonomy in their jobs, they tend to also behave the same way in the house, and they teach the same things to their children also. Now, Poverty. So, when we are talking about SES, this is a major part which is of concern. So, poverty. So, poor families have many daily hassles like bills to pay, education fees, having proper meal, something stolen from the house, to name just a few. See, these are the hassles which all have to go through, be it higher SES, be it higher SES or lower SES. But with lower SES people, like the poverty stricken people, it is more difficult because the at the end of the day, the wages they have, it is not sufficient to take care of all these expenses. When daily crisis arise, parents becomes depressed, irritable and distracted. And when such crisis occurs, obviously it gives another psychological problems to the adults, and they are not much interested in taking care of the child in that way. So, besides stress and conflict, reduced parental involvement and depleted home learning environments profoundly affect poor children's cognitive and emotional well-being. So, this stress and conflict is causing them to have this cognitive and emotional deficits, because they are the children who are coming from poverty stricken households, they do not have much stimulants in around their houses, and so their cognitive abilities are getting depleted. And also because the parents are fighting and struggling for making day to day end meets, they are also having a lot of emotional deprivation getting from their parents. So parents coming from parents who belongs to lower SES or poverty stricken houses and homes, they have a lot of cognitive and emotional deficits in their lives, because these people, they do not have much stimulants to go through and to experience. So their experiences are very limited, and also their emotional well-being gets hampered a lot, because the parents, they are working really hard to make the ends meet, and in doing so they are having a lot of issues to deal with, and so they get emotionally numb, and because of this emotional numbness they carry on to their children also. Now coming to affluence. So what is affluence? So affluence is being righteous and having riches in life. So compared to their better adjusted counterparts, poorly adjusted affluent young people report less emotional closeness and supervision from their parents, who lead professionally and socially demanding lives. So what does this mean? This is also saying that irrespective of the SES you belong to, either high or low, but if you are not getting enough from your parents, you're not getting enough attention or emotional stimulation from your parents' side, the children might feel lonely, isolated, and they might have a lot of other psychological issues like feeling depressed or having low motivation in doing things. For both affluent and low SES youth, a simple routine eating dinner with parents is associated with a reduction in adjustment difficulties, even after many other aspects of parenting are controlled. So if you can see this graph, so you will find that children who have dinner, irrespective of their socioeconomic status, children who have dinner with their parents have found good in adjustment and problem solving skills than children who do not have dinner with their parents. So this can be seen from this graph, that how children who are having dinner, there is going upwards, and children who are not having dinner with their parents, their adjustment skills are going downwards. So this can be observed here in this research study. Now, we have discussed about socioeconomic variation, socioeconomic status. Now, we are going to discuss about ethnic variation. So, what happens here? Now, we all belong to a different ethnic backgrounds, like some are Asian, some are European, some even in same country people have different kind of ethnicities. What is ethnicities? Is the cultural and social norms we follow and we belong to. So ethnic variation can have an influence on child rearing practices due to a variety of factors, including cultural beliefs, values, tradition and social norms. So depending upon different ethnicities, the child's being raised raised in different kind of environment, and these also play a major role in their adolescence when they start experiences this need for autonomy and individualism. So, it is important to note that there is considerable diversity within and between ethnic groups, and individual families within those groups may have their own unique and child rearing practices. As we have already discussed about the child rearing practices, we also see that there are a lot of individual differences occurs in the families which belong to the same geographical conditions, but the cultural backdrops are different. So, how it is, we'll see further. Cultural values and beliefs. First point is the difference when we are seeing in different ethnicities is first is cultural values and beliefs. So, different ethnic groups may have distinct cultural values and beliefs about parenting and child development. These values and beliefs can shape parenting practices such as discipline, education, and the role of extended family members in raising children. So, there are a lot of cultural variations we see in our country, in other countries also, that there are some people who encourage having people around to help them raise their child, and then there are some people who discourage and they say that there is interference, so they consider it as interference. Other people come and try to help them in raising their children. So it depends from different families to families and different cultural backgrounds to different cultural backdrops. So these are the, and some people have their different values and beliefs. Like in some culture, it is okay to sleep, to co-sleep with your child, but in some cultures, they think that no, this is not right, and the child should sleep alone, irrespective of how small or big they are, and they are fine with it. Now, the other second point is parenting styles. Ethnic variation can influence parenting styles, which refer to the overall approach and strategies parents use to raise their children. Parenting styles, as we have discussed, they are four kinds: authoritative, authoritarian, permissive, and uninvolved. So, these parenting styles also play a major role in parent-youth conflicts. So, for example, some culture may emphasize strict discipline and obedience, while other may prioritize nurturing and emotional support. So, it has been seen that in some culture there is a lot of strictness and a lot of rules which a child has to obey in the house, but in some homes it is not the case. So, parenting styles can impact various aspects of child rearing, including expectation, communication, and discipline methods. Extended family and community involvement. As I have discussed this before also, there is a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. But there are people, certain people who believe in this saying, and then there are certain people who do not. So, many ethnic groups have strong bonds with extended family members and their communities. In some cultures, child rearing is a collective responsibility. They have their grandparents, uncles and aunts, all of them which come, and they together they raise the children and help the children to have a more inclusive atmosphere. Then the fourth point is education and achievement. Ethnic variation can play a role in shaping attitudes towards education and academic achievement. Like in different ethnicities and different cultures, they have different outlook towards education. In some countries, the education is not much valued. In some, it is valued a lot. Even in the same countries, different people have different opinion towards education. So a girl who is good in studies is compared to be less efficient than a girl who is good in cooking and baking, because it is considered that it's girl's job to cook and to take care of the house. So they consider that okay, if she's good in cooking and baking, and other household chores like knitting, stitching, and etc., she'll be a better person to take care of the family than a girl who is good in studies. So this also differs a lot between ethnicities and between cultures. So these values can impact parental involvement in education, expectations for academic performance, and the emphasis placed on extracurricular activities. So as I said, that cooking and other things comes under extracurricular activities. So somewhere these activities gets more importance than the other activities. Now coming to the fifth point, which is cultural tradition and ritual and how it affects the ethnic variation. is that each culture and each tradition is unique. And like a few days back, for example, we had a movie which named Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway. In that movie, it was portrayed that in Norway, it was not appreciated to let children sleep together with their parents and to hand feed the children, which Mrs. Chatterjee in that movie was doing. And this movie was based on a true story in 2011, and it had a lot of it faced a lot of political conflict in those times, and it was a fight of 3 years. And after 3 years, that lady, she got her children back to her, and in those 3 years, those children were living in foster care because that country and the rules of that country didn't find Mrs. Chatterjee fit for taking care of her own children. So these cultural tradition and rituals also matter a lot in different setups, and this is how a lot of conflicts also arises when the children are growing up in their homes. So these traditions can include ceremonies, celebration, and rites of passage that contribute to a child's cultural identity and socialization. So now note that it is important to note that these are just a few of the factors that can influence ethnic variation in child rearing. There is no single right or wrong way, and it doesn't mean that if I'm following a certain kind of child rearing pattern, so I will not have any conflict with my child. It is very it is not a common, there is no common standard by following which we can assure that there will be no conflicts, and there is no on the other hand, there is no common pattern which can say that you will have conflicts with your child if you follow this. So it's all the awareness which people needs to have, and then the situation and conditions they just follow through. Now, here are some examples of how ethnic variations can influence child rearing practices. Like first, Asian parents tend to be more authoritarian than European American parents. This means that they place a greater emphasis on obedience and respect for elders. Like in India and in other Asian countries, we see that we respect our parents and elders. We do not take their first name, but in other countries, it is not the same, and there they have different upbringing. Now, Hispanic parents tend to be more involved in their children's lives than European American parents. They may spend more time with their children, talk to them more, and help them with their homework more often. So, Hispanic parents are considered to be more involved with their children, and they are more emotionally available to their children. Then African American parents tends to be more likely to use harsh discipline than European American parents. This may be due to the fact that they are more likely to live in poverty and experience discrimination. See, because they have gone through years of discrimination and poverty, they have also set some standards, and which the parents have gone through, and they expect their child also to go through the same. So it is important to remember that these are just generalization. There is a great deal of variation within each ethnic group, and that not all parents within a group will raise their children in the same way. As I have mentioned before, that there is no set standard and there is no general, these are just the generalization which we have seen, but doesn't mean that it is applicable to all. So it differs from one parent to another and from one ethnicity to another. So it is all just we need the awareness, and we want that whatever the best is for the child and for the parent, it should be followed. Thank you so much.